So you want to be a Zerker. We'll go over the process of what skills to use, when you get them, and which tripods are the strongest. This freight train with claws of a class is probably one of the fastest classes to level in Lost Ark. Back then I wasn't even a fan of Zerker and I leveled 3 of them from scratch just to have them at 50 to start farming content with. The reason being they were just that fast to level. Once again, in case you haven't seen my Gunlancer leveling guide already, I'll start off with the disclaimer that there is no one correct way to go about the long process of leveling. In every situation, there will be tripods or skills that do better than others, and it's up to you to choose which one works best for you. I'll go over the strongest skills and their respective tripods to set you guys off in the right direction. First skill we get off the bat is Giga Chad Spin to Win like Garen in League of Legends. I'd like to see a Netflix show about him, like it turns out his mom's a blender and his dad is actually a fucking helicopter. Anyways, straight from the gate you get a powerful AoE that melts mobs and you can move while casting it. Max this one out as much as possible, first for efficient farming. The first tripod is Sustainability, which gives you 1 more second of spinning time. Second tripod is Sword Pressure, which increases your AoE range and damage by 40%. The third is Vacuum Slash, which increases AoE range by 20% and increases the number of attacks and does 50% more damage. This thing melts trash mobs while leveling, and the only downside is the 24-second cooldown. If you're struggling from the cooldown at this point, the next best skill to use is Finishing Strike, which is another skill that you start out with at level 10. The next destructive move we get at level 14 is Tempest Slash. This thing hits very hard and has decent AoE. You can chunk bosses pretty hard while leveling. The tripods are Quick Prep for 5 seconds CDR. The second tripod is Key Point Attack, which gives 30% crit, and with the amount of hits the attack does, you will most likely end up critting multiple times. Every crit does double damage and provides the biggest burst to kill a trash mob with 1 skill execution. Our third tripod takes Storm Rush, which increases AoE by 20% and increases damage by 80. It also changes the attack to be able to hit enemies behind you. At level 20 we get Hellblade. This move hits like a truck but comes at the cost of charging and being immobile while doing so. The tripods I take are Big Jump for the first because it's a good initiation and positioning tool. Since your attack is in an AoE all around you, if you can initiate that in the middle of all the mobs, you get the most bang for your buck. This tripod allows you to do it a lot more quickly and easily, to jump into the middle of a pack of mobs and completely ruin their day by shitting in their cereal. Second tripod is Melting, which increases your damage by 14% for every hit, stacking up to 5 times. Third tripod is Return to the Ground, which gives an extra stab of disrespect into the ground that spews rock fragments into the mobs' faces and does 80% more damage. This thing chunks so hard that you can one-shot elite mobs and chunk bosses pretty hard, but be aware to time it so you don't get staggered or knocked up while charging it. At 24 we get Windblade. This is a pretty underrated skill. It provides movement, decent AoE, and good damage, but it only shines at level 10. If you have the points to spare, I recommend maxing this out for a faster run. The first tripod is Acceleration, which increases the movement of the skill speed by 15%. Second tripod is Key Point Attack, which gives 40% crit chance. And third is Swift Wind, that gives 50% more damage. This tripod is the one that makes the skill shine. It's a great gap closer or just movement skill in itself while doing decent damage. It has a 20-second cooldown, so if you choose, you can go first tripod for Quick Prep, which gives CDR. Next, at level 32 we get Strike Wave. If you haven't noticed by now, most Berserker skills hit like a Mack truck harnessed to a cargo carriage with farm animals in it. First tripod is Quick Prep for CDR. Second tripod is Cerberus, which shoots out 3 strike waves into a fan shape to give you more AoE and damage. Third tripod is Blaze Wave, as if shooting a triple ground wave at someone wasn't disrespectful enough, they fucking explode after a few seconds for maximum surprise. I've had mobs coming to attack me from afar so the strike wave won't kill them, but oftentimes them exploding after will. Berserker, man. Finally, at level 40 we get Sword Storm. This also hits like a cruise ship crashing into an unsuspecting dock with the weighty swing of a slapfight champion's forearm. The first tripod is Key Point Attack, which gives 20% crit chance, or you can take the CDR tripod, Quick Prep, but it only shaves 3 seconds off of a 30-second cooldown, which in my opinion is more worth to take the crit chance over. The second tripod is Firestorm for a flat 20% more damage, but you can take the weakness tripod here for bosses which inflict 50% more damage to them. Third is Flamestorm, which burns the enemies for a total of up to 105% more damage. At this point, you can come back to the first attack you started out with, Finishing Strike, and juggle points into this one, because this skill too hits like a telenovela plot twist. At max levels, this thing buries mobs so deep they'll never come back. First tripod is bleeding effect because if for some reason a mob doesn't die by the grace of divine luck, then it'll surely bleed to death pretty quickly. If you don't mind the slower casting animation for 30% more damage up front, then you can take the strengthening blow tripod. Second tripod is finishing blow that does 50% more damage to enemies under 50% health. This can kill any stragglers or tougher mobs instantly. If you're fighting a boss, you can switch to the rune to weakness that just gives 50% damage to bosses regardless of their health. Third tripod is what makes this skill shine, called killing, and rightfully so. It adds a second attack that jumps and uses your greatsword like a pogo stick of death to stab it down and bury enemies like you're planting seeds of disrespectful death. It has a decent AoE effect too and causes 177% more damage. Whenever this second jump activates, it feels like you're closing a deal, and the deal was their death. These are the max damage skills you can take to erase things that get in your way as quickly as possible. I'll go over some utility skills. Shoulder charge with first tripod, outstanding maneuver tripod will get you around faster. Red dust can be used to amplify your damage by 12% for 6 seconds, but in my opinion it's better to just take another damage skill, especially because most of them all hit so damn hard and have decent AoE to boot. One key point factor is using your enrage mode as often as possible. If you got him, smoke him, as they say. Not only will it boost your damage and allow you to use your flurry skill that erases almost anything in front of you, but it'll also make you run faster. Try not to save it for too long because it's a waste of damage and movement speed. I would only save it for when I know a boss is coming up, such as when you look on your minimap in a dungeon and see you're about at the end. Through leveling though, this bar does fill up pretty fast, so keep an eye on it and don't be afraid to use it. Better to have used and lost than to have never used at all. I think I saw that on a Hallmark card once. I'll go over the skills like in my Gunlancer video to show you the actual animations of the skills and how they work and their AoE, so you may learn how to utilize them, as well as showing their damage potential. It's boring with just music, so I'll play you some inspiration in the background.
People think, doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm gonna be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you're gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
And that concludes the guide. Best of luck on launch and see you next time. Thanks for watching.